Welcome. I'm Dr. Michael Brooks from the Department of History at Bowling Green State University. In this video, we'll be examining the academic citation style known as the Chicago Manual of Style. What we today call the Chicago Manual of Style was first published by the University of Chicago Press. This guide emerged from the copy editors of manuscripts published at the University of Chicago, and it was a standardized style for all publications. For many decades, Chicago was the definitive citation style throughout academia. The advent of other citation styles, such as MLA and APA, has reduced the number of fields that use Chicago today, but history, economics, and geography are among the fields that use this style. Many students know this style better as the footnote style, though other citation styles sometimes use footnotes, while Chicago also has developed an alternative parenthetical style. Most history professors, though, will require the use of Chicago footnoted style, especially in upper-level undergraduate courses and graduate courses. Chicago, I should add, is also sometimes known as Turabian, named after Kate Turabian, who was an employee at the University of Chicago and developed a similar version of Chicago Manual of Style. Sometimes the terms are used interchangeably. You should know that they are distinct styles that happen to be very, very close in structure. A quick note before we continue, though. Keep in mind that the instructions given to you by an individual professor trump anything in the Chicago Style Guide. If an instructor, for example, told you that a paper was in Chicago style but wanted the last page titled References, just produce the paper that way. There's nothing to be gained by arguing the fine points of Chicago style with a professor or a publisher, for example. One of the most common fonts used in academia, and the one that I recommend in my own classes for budding historians to use, is 12-point Times New Roman. Some students like to experiment with interesting fonts, but I recommend that you stick with standard fonts. If you absolutely must experiment, use a similar serif typeface such as Garamond, Baskerville, or Bodoni. Sans serif fonts such as Arial and Calibri are typically used in electronic media such as PowerPoint presentations or videos. I'm using, in fact, Arial in this PowerPoint presentation. The standard margins in Chicago style for the body of a paper are 1 inch on all sides. However, Microsoft Word has default settings that very often create 1.25 inch margins on all sides. If you want to adjust the margins in Microsoft Word, click on the Page Layout tab near the top. Click Margins and select an option to set the margins for your paper. Again, standard is 1 inch margins for academia. As mentioned earlier in this presentation, the most significant feature of Chicago style is the use of footnotes. The bibliographical data in footnotes is arranged differently than on the bibliography page, so pay close attention to the style guide as you set up your footnotes. To add a footnote in Word, first click on the References tab at the top of the page. Next, click on Insert Footnote. If this box happens to read Insert EndNote, all you need to do is to look to the right and click on Insert Footnote. Word will then make this option the default option, footnotes versus endnotes. The cursor will drop down to the footnote, and you can begin typing in the bibliographical information. Remember to use the same font style in footnotes as you do in the rest of the paper. Sometimes Word will have a different default font style for footnotes than you would be using elsewhere in the paper. The standard spacing for the body of the paper is double-spaced text. New paragraphs are indented 1 tab, which is normally set at a ½ inch for the first line of a new paragraph. Do not insert spaces between paragraphs. That's not standard. Some versions of Word automatically add spacing between paragraphs. To remove this, highlight the text, right-click on Paragraph, then make sure the spacing menus are set at 0. If the spacing indicator indicates automatic, Word will insert a 10-point space between every paragraph which again is not in accordance with the specifications of Chicago Manual of Style. The bibliographical page in Chicago Manual of Style is simply titled Bibliography. In MLA, this page is known as Works Cited, while in APA, this page is titled References. You can see in this particular example, the author has differentiated between primary and secondary sources. You'll want to check with your professor or advisor to see if that's how they want that to be put together. The word bibliography should be centered and in the same 12-point Times New Roman font as the rest of the paper, so no boldface, underlining, or any other style changes for this page. Entries are alphabetized by the last names of the authors, and entries are single-spaced with an extra line between each entry. The hanging indent function can be accessed by highlighting the text, right-clicking your mouse, and selecting Paragraph. So the entries in the bibliography page use the hanging indent function. There's a drop-down menu in the indentation section that reads Special. Then just select Hanging as the option in order to add this hanging indent to a given section of text. This brings to a close our brief look at the Chicago Manual of Style. If you have additional questions on this citation style, a quick Google search will return many websites with specific examples. I especially like the information at OWL, OWL, or the Online Writing Lab at Purdue University. That site is regularly updated and has many valuable writing and citation resources. Thanks again for watching this video.